Shalom, shalom. Before we get started, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh,
Well,
Bahashem,
Shem
Yahweh Shai,
Yahushua,
Bahashem,
Shem
Yasharatadash.
Bahakadosh.
We want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. And want to give a salutation unto the hopeful elect scattered across the four corners of this earth, striving for salvation. This is the GMS Nebraska camp. Um, we want to get into a lesson today, going over this article. You know, listen, what's the title of that article, brother?
The title of the article is Turkey's Interior Minister Vows to Liberate Jerusalem, Return it to Turkish hands.
Right, and we want to get into the prophetic implications of this article and just touch on some things. You know, you have this Turkey, which is saying they want Jerusalem back, which that's not going to happen. But we have to understand the history of Jerusalem and of our land. Because that land truly belongs to the true Israelites, the true nation of Israel, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. But of course, we were sent out of that land, the northern kingdom by the hand of the Assyrians. Do brothers remember what year that happened? That was in, I want to say like about 600 BC, and then you had the southern kingdom, which was brought out of the land in 70 AD, by the hands of the Romans. And um over time, while the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom had been pushed out of that land for our disobedience, there had been a lot of occupation of Jerusalem. Of course, you had the Roman occupation of Jerusalem, but you had the Ottoman Empire, where you had the Turkish being in the land, um, and there's a lot of history. You got the Crusades that happened there. The Moors being in there, which a lot of them was Jake. But there's a lot of history of a lot of different flowing and people being in and out of that land, all the way to today, where you got the Palestinians in there, and now Amalek. And all these different nations believe that the land belongs to them, and they're fighting over who is going to get the land. But the Lord's determination is that the land is going to return back to us, the true nation of Israel. And we are seeing the beginning of that taking place, which is by way of what? This truth going out. This is the beginning of the Lord gathering us and returning us first back to our right minds, and then physically back into our land after this Edomite rule is brought down. So did brothers have any precepts?
Allah.
Okay, Khan. First we can grab that Psalm chapter 2 verse 1 just to start with, and then we can read into the article. Which I'll just grab it real fast. I got it right in front of me. Psalm chapter 2, verse 1, which says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" And these heathen have these vain ideas, thinking that they're the ones that are going to, well, hey, you got this Turkish minister where he's saying we're going to take Jerusalem back and liberate it, and it's the Most High's will that we will take Jerusalem again and set up another Ottoman Empire. And then you got different heathen that want to cement their power within the New World Order and all these different things. But
Mm,
it's not the Lord's will at the end of the day. So it's vain plans that they have, you know.
yeah. And honestly, by that being the Holy Land, even with the nation of Israel, let alone uh, those in Turkey, they don't deserve to have that land, man. There's only one people that's going to treat that land how it's supposed to be treated, and that's going to be the Israelites, because Isaiah, first chapter speaks, it says that they're roughly paraphrasing that enemies devour your land and before your eyes, so that's talking about the land of Israel. So these individuals don't deserve to have this land in their hands, man. Just plainly speaking.
Yeah. The
Uh,
Amalekites that's in the land right now, they're defiling it, which is why when this destruction of Babylon the Great happens, not only is America going to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire, but the land of Israel has to be destroyed as well. Why? Because it has to be cleansed of all the pollution that has been done with these Amalekites being in the land. What's some of that pollution that we see? We was just the brother just mentioned it before this lesson, how they have the one of the biggest pride parades in the world, right in the land of Jerusalem, or in Tel Aviv. The law, statutes, and commandments, the way that the Most High wants the land ran, that's not how it's ran there. You have a lot of Amalekites or J-ish people that argue about what laws need to be kept or if they need to be kept at all, or if they can just live secularly. And in that land, the Lord gave law, statutes, and commandments on how to live the right way and how to treat the land of Israel. And they're just doing however. And that's why crops aren't flourishing there. That's why they have to import trees and do all these different things because the way that they're running it is not allowing that land to flourish in its beauty. But it will when the true nation of Israel gets put there, because we're gonna dwell righteously within it, you
Right.
know. But we can get into the article.
All
Um,
right. It says Turkey's interior minister on Saturday said that his country will one day bring about the liberation of Jerusalem, vowing to restore Turkish control to the city that the Ottoman Empire ruled for hundreds of years. The comments drew sharp rebuke from Israel, with the foreign ministry saying that the Empire is gone and that Jerusalem shall remain in the internal capital of Israel.
Mhm. You read
Salaki
this next part as well.
Khan. Just as we witnessed the liberation of Damascus, Alep- Aleppo, and Karabakh, uh, God willing, one day we will also witness the liberation of Jerusalem. Interior
Now,
Minister Salakia, go ahead.
Salaki, so this is the interior minister of Turkey speaking. That he's saying we liberated this place, we liberated this place. Not we're gonna liberate Jerusalem as well. And this is interesting that we're seeing this because uh, uh this is pointing towards war. We understand, and we're gonna grab it in Ezekiel chapter 38. But Turkey is gonna be one of them places that's gonna be right alongside Russia in this great war that we read about, where what the least of the flock is drawing out these nations, and let's get that. And let me see, what was that precept we had? Was that Joel? Let's get that.
Con, this Joel chapter 3 and verse 1.
Mhm.
It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem."
Yeah, so it says that when it says that the Lord will bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, it's saying that Judah and Jerusalem, or the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, our captivity is going to be flipped around. We're going to be brought back into our land, But how is that going to happen? It's about to tell us.
Verse 2, it says, "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat
Mhm.
and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel."
So that it says that the Lord is going to gather all nations and plead with them in the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Yahweh Shaphat, Yahweh's judgment. And that's what it means there when it says that the Lord is going to plead with these nations. He's going to judge these nations. And that's going to be, how is this gathering going to be done? It's going to be done by way of war. Now, where's the valley of Yahweh Shaphat? That's over there in the region of Saudi Arabia. It's going to be in the Middle East, where we're going to have all these nations gathering there for war. We also read about this in Revelation, where it talks about Armageddon. This great war that's about to happen. And this a part of how this conflict of the Valley of Jehoshaphat is coming about is, as I mentioned before, how the least of the flock is drawing out these nations, how these Amalekites are stirring up conflict, And what do we see right now? An aspect of that conflict being stirred up is how, we see the U.S. and Iran at odds with each other. Israel and Iran at odds with each other. Israel is striking Lebanon and these different Iranian-backed groups. And this conflict is only going to grow from here, and more parties are going to get involved. Eventually, Russia is going to come to the aid of Iran and Russia's allies. But we see Turkey uh, um pitching in and having a voice as well, how they want to get at Israel. But let's read on.
God, it says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
Done. And for those who don't know, Salakia for the confusion because we're using that name Israel. But in the scripture, when it's talking about Israel here, it's talking about the true Israelites. When I mention Israel in this lesson, I'm talking about the fakes that have stolen our identity, stolen our name, stolen our land. So Baba Rashad, bear with us on that front. I'll try to use the term Amalekites, for clarification's sake. But Salak, you can read on, bro. Can you read
God,
that part again?
God, it says, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom
Hmm.
they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
Right. So the Lord is going to judge these nations for the part that they've had to play in our captivity, and in coming against us. Because it wasn't just these American Edomites that came and brought us into slavery. These other nations had a part to play with it as well. You got these Amalekites that funded it. You got these Ishmaelites uh, um that built the boats. You know what I'm saying? You got the Hamites that sold our people over to the Edomites. So these nations were, it's not just Esau. These other nations have to answer for um reap and benefit off of our captivity as well. And that's why through these men of war that's going to be coming into that region, that fight is going to serve as the Lord judging a lot of these people, how they're going to be dying gruesome deaths, going through all type of traumatic events and all these different things. That's because and they past lives and they coming back into reincarnation and serving judgment for what they've done unto us.
Got a precept for you, Babu Shah.
Come.
Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 10 says, behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out, and will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. And this, going off of that point, that because all these different nations, not just primarily Esau, but like you mentioned, these different nations, the nations that had a part to play in our downfall, that had a part to play in our affliction, that had us in captivity. You know what I'm saying? The all is most likely he's going to undo all of those that afflict thee. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much like you were mentioning, the Most High is going he's going to revolt, reverse the role in a sense. You know, and he's going to the same thing that these nations did to us. Now it's going to come down on you because you touched the apple of the Lord's eye. But yep, that's I want to read 20 as well. It says, and at that time I will bring you again, even in that time that I gather you, for I will make you a name and praise among all people of the earth when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith Yahweh. You know.
Mm.
Uh, um, let me see. There was a little bit more to that, Joel. Let's get back to that.
God, back in Joel 3 and verse 3, it says, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
Con, so as I was mentioning before, it was, these different nations reaped benefit for the captivity that we went into, and even all the way unto this day, these nations are reaping benefit. That's why Yahweh Shai went into the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, how the rich man is taking advantage of Lazarus and how we're getting crumbs from the rich man's table, that rich man being Esau. and us Israelites being Lazarus, but you have the dogs that came and licked Lazarus' wounds, which is how then those dogs are the heathen, and it's going into how they are furthering the affliction of what we're going through, such as these Moabites and these Ishmaelites and these heathen coming up into Jake neighborhoods and giving them poison and taking advantage of the situation we in, drowning them in alcohol, giving our women, these weaves and, all these different things. They're adding onto that black culture, so to speak. But it's not a coincidence that it's always heathen that's owning these places, you know?
God, and I got a
Right.
precept for you.
That goes into them curses, man. Says that the heathen that is, we say he should be set far above thee, or something like that. You want
Mhm.
to Deuteronomy 28. So that's why you see that, where so we spoke about like the Moabites. The Moabites, when you go into these stores where they're running it, they look at you like, nigga, what you doing in my store? You know what I'm saying? Or they look at you like, or they have like an aura like I'm better than you. And that's because of the curses. So all these nations are what all the Hamites are able to come up here and set up fucking establishments. These red dot motherfuckers are able to come over here and set up establishments. The Chinese,
Right.
Esau, but you don't see a lot of Jake having these establishments to where it's like business is always booming like that. You have these heathens that are set up, and that's part of the curses, man. And I just wanted to mention that because that's often what we see. Any damn near everywhere you go to any store, just put a tab in your phone. Whatever I go for the next week, who is running that establishment? I bet you ain't gonna find no Jake.
Mhm.
10 times out of 10, you're not gonna find no Jake. Now, not saying Jake don't have their own shit. Not saying that. But for the most part, when you go into these establishments, you see these heathens.
Mhm.
But you got it out.
Okay.
God, I was gonna say I got that precept for you, call. Now that you mentioned that, Deuteronomy 28:45, it says and Salakia. Uh nope, Salakia. I had it pulled up here, but just kind of going into these how these heathen are able to get above us very high. Um Yeah, here we go. Verse 43, it says, "The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low." Like you said, those East Indians, so-called Asians, so-called Arabs, it's always them owning Jake neighborhood stores and stuff. It's like, bro, Jake built up this whole country. Jake don't get a slice of the pie. So it shows you that it's just like, part of the curses and how they're also against us as well. If we go back to Psalms, the second chapter, which, Yatazak had brought out, going on to verse 2, it says, "The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed." So ultimately, they all against us, man. And it's also, like you said, part of them curses as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that verse causes, it says that they against the Lord Yahweh and against his anointed. So we are the Lord's chosen people. And we kind of got off topic a bit from the original, what we was talking about, but it all goes with it because the point is the Lord is not dealing with these heathen. The Lord is not about to take the land from the Amalekites and then just give it to another heathen. No, what the
Yeah.
Lord is about to do, he has a beautiful plan for us and we're about to see it come to pass, you know? And the Lord's plan for the heathen is to bring y'all down low. Like we mentioned, this or like the scriptures mentioned, this state that we're in is about to be flipped around to where we're going to be brought on high and these heathen are going to be brought low and they're going to come to us for their needs and they're going to be our servants, you know, and we're going to be the royalty. And so we're about to see a great fall of not just Esau, but a great judgment upon these heathen as well by way of this war that is soon to come. You know, y'all brothers had some.
Con, quick precept.
Mhm.
This is Ezekiel 28 and 25. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, when I shall have gathered the house of Israel from the people among whom they are scattered, and shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen, then shall they dwell in their land that I have given to my servant Jacob. And
Mhm.
they shall dwell safely therein, and shall build houses and plant vineyards. Yea, they shall dwell with confidence when I have executed judgments upon all those that despise them round about them, and they shall know that I am Yahweh their power.
Right there, bro. And what does this show you? This shows you that them people that's over there right now, they make the true people, because it says what? That the Lord is going to allow us to dwell safely in our land, and we're going to dwell with confidence. And why is our confidence going to be so high? Because all these heathen that's against us, all our enemies, are going to be uh uh um brought all the way low. Like there's not going to be any opportunity or chance for them to even try to come against us. Now you have this precept that's prophesying the state that we're going to be in when we come back into our land. Yet these Amalekites in a war right now, fighting in a whole scrap, trying to hold their position in that land. They're not dwelling in confidence,
Uh, Hey, and they
you
got
know.
that backup plan, Argentina set up because they know that eventually their land is going to get destroyed according to the scriptures. So they already down there. Because if I'm not mistaken, there was some votes. It was like the United Nations were saying, should this be a human right or that be a human right? And it's always Israel and America voting, like they voted that food should not be a human right, you know. And every other country was like, yeah, food is a human right. They're like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah, and that goes into the let's get that Obadiah one, that Obadiah verse 2, because you have these votes, where America and Israel will be the only nations voting for something, and everybody else would be against them. You know, which is showing that like the whole world is looking at Israel and understanding that they are the villains on this earth. That whole that they're victimizing, and you know them acting like they're you know also innocent. That's not working no more. Everybody sees the war crimes they're doing. Everybody is starting to see their false history, and this truth that we're bringing out is playing a huge role in exposing them for who they are. And the world is looking at these people and understanding, man, these people ain't right. Let's get that verse, Bible Shah.
This is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen.
Mm-hmm.
Thou art greatly despised.
Khan, Khan, the Lord is making these Amalekites small among the heathen. And this is why we're seeing more so than ever that these heathen are becoming bold to speak out against the Amalekites and ready to take, actions of war against them. You know, you got people condemning the Netanyahu and the Israelis on world stages. That United Nations meeting where Netanyahu took the stand. And what happened? Many of them people at that meeting got up and walked out. They like, man, we don't want to hear what this dude has to say. So it's that precept is coming to pass. They being made small. So let's get back into that article unless we had something lined up.
Uh,
Come on, let's get it.
all right. Trying to. I'm gonna just go back into the spot. It says, just as we witnessed the liberation of Damascus, Aleppo, and Kabara, the Most High, well, God willing, one day we'll also witness the liberation of Jerusalem, interior to Minister Mustafa. I'm not gonna butcher that last name. He said in a speech at a ruling AKP party conference in the city of Kurum or Kurum.
Con, let's scroll. You can skip that next paragraph. Let's go to the paragraph that says in his speech
Khan.
at the beginning.
In his speech, Oh man. Uh
I don't know how to say his last name either. I'm
Safisi.
sure.
Safisi. Recall how he used to pray to for God to grant him governorship governorship of Jerusalem, even if it was for a single day.
He's like, please, Lord, please let me get Jerusalem back. But that's that the Lord ain't gonna allow that to happen. And what his quote said.
His quote said, I still believe that the Almighty will show us these days, those days.
Yeah, so they these heathen hoping and praying that the Lord is gonna show favor upon them and allow them that holy land back. But nah, it's not for y'all. We're about to get our land back. And it's crazy because we the last people that they're expecting to be to take this land. And it's gonna be a beautiful thing when they see us be in our glory placed back there. They're like, man, these the people. But when we in our glory, they gonna understand, all right, look, we need to bow to them, we need to serve them. When we get them new bodies, when we're in them them beautiful states. You're going like, man, these are the people we've been coming against this whole time. And yet this is who this land belongs to. And you see there's a reason why there's such um a dispute about this land. Because that's that holy land, you know? But it's not for these people. They're not doing it justice whatsoever.
And they going about it the wrong way too, because we got to go by biblical prophecy. They're trying
That's
to
right.
do it carnally. Oh, maybe if we just fight hard enough and pray hard enough, we'll get the land. But the scriptures say otherwise, because
That's
it's
right.
you got it out.
They say there's a land promise, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I got the promised land. Who's it promised to? You
Mhm.
know, he wasn't promised to. He didn't. The Most High didn't make a covenant with these heathen nations when he talked to Israel. He said,
Mm,
"I gave this is a land for you to inherit, flowing with milk and honey from your forefathers." You know what I'm saying? So he didn't include the Most High didn't include the heathen nations to inherit that land. But that, like the brother's going into, this is why you see the land in so much disarray because that
Mm-hmm.
land ain't for you.
Con,
When the true people are over there and reestablishing that land is gonna blossom, bro, and then it's gonna spread out. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna block. That's our homeland, man. You know.
let's grab that Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33.
Yeah. So Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33, and it says, "Thus saith Yahweh, the power of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together."
And we're being oppressed together right now, over here in the Americas, and across the four corners of the earth, but primarily here in the Americas. We're going through our captivity. And let's read on. I was gonna make a point, but we'll read on for now. I want to get to
Because and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused. They refused to let them go.
hmm
The Redeemer is strong. The Lord Yahweh, power of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause. The
hmm
heathen,
and who is going to redeem us? Yahweh Shai is going to redeem us. Backing up that point that the brother Kawashah made, it's not for us to gear up and try to take that land back by our power. We would never get it back like that. And ultimately, it's because it's not the Lord's will for us to get it back like that. Yahweh Shai is the one that is going to restore us. So it
yeah.
says our Redeemer is strong.
A Redeemer is strong. I got a precept real quick for you.
Mm,
This is Genesis 49 and 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
hmm
You
You can
know,
get into it. Go ahead.
makes me think about in the New Testament, the disciples, when Yahushua was still on the earth, they asked him, will you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? Because it's biblical prophecy that it's through Yahushua that we're going to get that kingdom, man. It's not going to be through Esau's guns, you know? And they take Yahushua out of the picture. That's why they're all wrong, They're not
Uh-huh.
going by the Bible.
That's right. Con, Let's can you read that verse 34 again? You call Bible Shah.
Yeah, Khan. Um, says their Redeemer is strong. Lord Yahweh, power of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon.
Mm-hmm. And it says what that the inhabitants of Babylon are going to be disquieted. Now, doesn't it say here that the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, which is the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom?
Huh.
But the northern kingdom didn't go under the Babylonian oppression, the ancient Babylon. So this Babylonian oppression that we're going under, where we're oppressed together, is Babylon the Great here in America, And so the Lord is going to deliver us from Babylon the Great, and this is showing, this is more proof on who the true Israelites are, who is going to be restored unto that land.
Mhm.
Because when were the Amalekites oppressed together? If they're claiming the history of us in the scriptures, when did they go through this?
Never.
They didn't fulfill this prophecy.
Exactly.
Yeah. They don't even claim any Northern Kingdom tribes. They say they're Judah and Levi, right? And that's it.
Yeah,
So where's the rest of the tribes? It doesn't fulfill prophecy.
exactly. Let's go to let's get Isaiah chapter 11 verse 12.
Isaiah 11, verse 12, it says, "And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel,
Mm-hmm.
and, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth."
So it says that an ensign is going to be set up, which is going to assemble us, and that an ensign is a banner or a flag. That banner is this truth. This truth has gone out across the four corners of the earth, by way of the internet, and with this truth springing up, this is bringing our people back into our heritage and the knowledge of who we are, and but now Israel is being reassembled, and uh, uh, we are being spiritually assembled back together, and then the elect of our nation is going to be physically brought back into that land, you know, and it starts with this truth going out. Let's read on in that.
Verse 13, "The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off.
Hmm.
Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim."
And again, them Amalekites don't even claim the 12 tribes, you know, but we see this taking place right here on this video. I'm from the tribe of Judah. This brother Kawashab is from the tribe of Ephraim. It's showing that connection being remade with each other. We were separated for a very long time. After King Solomon, the southern and northern kingdom was split, and there was enmity. But the Lord has knocked all that down. On the topic of the Lord, these Amalekites don't even believe in the Lord at all. You got the prophecy in Jeremiah that says that is to Shiloh that we're going to be reassembled, but they don't even believe in Yahweh Shai, so it's just, man.
Uh,
Yeah.
I got a precept that kind of backs that up.
Yahweh Shai.
Yeah, I got the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1. For the
Hmm.
ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious. In the death of man, there is no remedy, neither is there any man known to have returned from the grave. So like ultimately, so
God,
like
go
go
ahead.
ahead,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
like
You got it.
ultimately, like that kind of proves a point. Man, they don't them Amalekites, they don't believe in Yahweh Shai. They don't believe he risen again.
Because who is the ungodly? That's talking about them. Ultimately, them Edomites. They are the ultimate wicked nation upon this earth. They are the sons of the wicked. It says Malachi 1:4 that they are what the border of wickedness. So when we read Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, that mindset that's being portrayed there is mostly attributed to them Edomites, and it says like the brother just brought out, there's no man that has ever returned from the grave. That's what they believe. And that's showing they don't believe in Yahweh Shai. They don't believe that Yahweh Shai died and rose again on the third day. So um yeah, that's a beautiful precept. Let's let's see. I think that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much the gist of that article. You got Turkey, they coming in, they like, man, they trying to get at Jerusalem, and they calling them out or they trying to get at the Israelis, you know what I'm saying, that we about to take Jerusalem back, which is not true, but it's it's good to see that there's even more strife that's being stirred up in that region. Um, let's not forget um uh Ezekiel 38 again when it talks about Gog and Magog and it says the nations that they're going to be allied with. It mentions Gomer and Togarmah. Let me look this up real fast. So the modern day Gomer and Togarmah, and it says these ancient territories today would be Turkey, Armenia, and the broader regions of Central and Western Asia Minor. So where Gomer and Togarmah made their territories was in Anatolia, which today would be Turkey. So more prophecy is being fulfilled. We see Turkey is turning against, or I wouldn't say turning against, but they're at odds with the Israelis. So it's showing you more, who's going to pick whose side, and prophecy is being made more and more manifest as we get closer and closer to the end. So the brothers have any other points they want to make, any other precepts?
Wow.
Nah.
Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Once again, we'll give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem. Want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS, and a salutation unto the elect. Hey, Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.